Counselors should be Smokey the Bear, not buckets of water. Hey everyone, therapy isn't neutral and neither am I. I'm Andrew, a trauma specialist in the ever on fire United States. I'm also a druid who believes healing comes from living in context with each other and with the world. In counseling, neutrality is taught as the therapist's ability to maintain a balanced and non-judgmental stance. The goal is to create a safe space where clients can explore themselves fully without fear of judgment or having to manage the therapist's reactions. In grad school, we're taught neutrality is having a non-judgmental stance, having objectivity and being impartial, having authentic empathy, or what we call unconditional positive regard, validation of the client's perspectives, and avoiding personal imposition. This blank slate approach allows clients to fully explore their thoughts and feelings, leading to insight and self-expression. Grad school emphasizes this because it encourages that self-expression in clients, and it helps clients gain a deeper insight into themselves. It reduces defensiveness since the therapist isn't perceived as taking sides, and it creates conditions for therapeutic progress through safety and trust. But in practice, neutrality is not always neutral, and when applied too rigidly, it can cause harm. When a client names racism, homophobia, or religious abuse, and the therapist stays neutral, it suggests that these realities are debatable, and the silence frames oppression as just another perspective rather than systemic harm. Also, it pushes self-blame. When power structures are ignored, clients often assume they are the problem. And neutrality can shift the burden of change entirely onto the client instead of acknowledging the societal forces that are shaping their pain. There's false equivalence in couples or family work. Neutrality can blur power imbalances, leaving the harmed party feeling unseen or dismissed. It creates a barrier for trust because for marginalized clients, a therapist's refusal to name injustice often replicates the same dismissal they face in the world outside of therapy. Grad school teaches neutrality as a core skill for creating safety and objectivity. Grad school frames neutrality as objectivity plus empathy. It teaches that neutrality is about not bringing yourself in and holding back your beliefs so the client's world is centered on the client. But neutrality without context and applied rigidly can unintentionally align with oppressive systems. Real therapeutic safety, sometimes it requires the therapist naming the imbalance, so the client isn't left carrying it alone. What grad school doesn't teach is that complete neutrality is complicated, especially when systemic issues, racism, homophobia, religious trauma, are in the room. In my opinion, a big reason they teach neutrality in the way of validating perspectives and avoiding personal imposition is to keep away the risk of the therapist overtaking the client's feelings about a situation. And that makes sense, but that also creates its own risk. Consider that traditional person-centered therapy or client-centered therapy treats you like a leaf in a Ziploc bag, isolated, contained, protected from the outside world. Leaves don't come from nowhere. You're part of a tree, and countless trees form a forest. Trees communicate, they warn each other of danger, they prepare for the next generation for challenges ahead. And if a therapist could be that voice, alerting others to systemic issues and social injustices, maybe we could prevent the forest fires before they ignite. A therapist's job isn't just to help you navigate your personal challenges. It's to use their voice, their platform, their resources, and their expertise to make things easier, not just for you, but for everyone who comes after you. Because what good is therapy if it only treats symptoms in isolation without addressing the cause? How do we fix problems? How do we identify what needs fixing? When therapists focus solely on individuals without acknowledging the societal, cultural, and systemic forces causing harm, we miss the bigger picture. We treat symptoms, not causes. Therapists should speak boldly about what's wrong with the world and how it harms clients. because you're not just our client, you're a person. Counselors like myself need to step beyond the veil of neutrality and become advocates and activists and allies. This requires change. Graduate schools and training programs need to stop perpetuating the myth that advocacy is optional in the helping profession. We have no choice. To truly heal and help, therapists must raise their voices to prevent the next forest fire. Be Smokey the Bear in the forest. Protect the trees. Warn them of danger. Speak for those who can't. Because therapy isn't just about surviving, it's transforming the world to make survival easier for everyone. Now, in the room, advocacy doesn't have to be big or dramatic. It's woven into the small choices we make as therapists. When we talk about advocacy, it's not just about politics out there. It shows up right here in the therapy room. Sometimes it's just naming power, saying out loud to your client, what you're describing is an abuse of power. So the client doesn't have to wonder if they're imagining it. It's providing language for experiences that a client hasn't had words for yet. Explaining gaslighting or helping frame religious trauma without shame. It's safety planning when harm is ongoing, making sure a client knows their options and isn't carrying that weight alone. It's resource linking, pointing them toward community supports, hotlines, advocacy groups, so they know they're not isolated. Out-of-session advocacy means staying aware of policies that affect your clients' daily lives. Healthcare access, trans rights, housing laws, building referral networks to connect clients with specialized or affirming care. Doing sliding scale or access work, because therapy is useless if the people who need it most can't afford it. Forming community partnerships, bridging mental health with grassroots organizations at schools or faith communities, engage in public education, whether that's through writing, workshops, or platforms like this one, because mental health doesn't exist in a vacuum. Advocacy is about refusing to be neutral when neutrality protects harm. It's both immediate and long-term. In sessions, meeting urgent needs, or out of session, challenging systems that made those needs urgent in the first place. Now, here are some objections to this idea that I hear a lot. Advocacy violates neutrality. When does advocacy violate neutrality? Only if your personal agenda overshadows the client's needs. Neutrality alone can make a client situation worse. Let's be real, advocacy comes in many forms. Bring issues to your supervisor. Give clients resources they actually need. Notice systemic problems you can address later in your own community, town, or at community mental health centers. Take finances, for example. Grad school says, what do you think you could do about that? Advocacy says, it sounds like you could use the cash envelope system. Have you heard of it? Neutrality leaves clients guessing. Advocacy gives them tools without taking over. 2. Therapists aren't activists. True, we don't need to carry a megaphone or be at every protest, but I try to attend as many as I can in my area. Why? Because I'm in this helping profession to help. A doctor or nurse doesn't just watch someone collapse. They step in, and I do the same. I'll be there to help however I can. I don't go to City Hall every week. I'm still under supervision, but I make sure people know that I can help when needed. I've created cards about protest safety, a legal help number for my state, and a script for police interactions. I keep business cards for anyone interested in justice-based therapy. I also sell crafts in town and raise money and awareness for crowd-funded therapy initiative that helps people pay off therapy debts. Advocacy isn't just talk, it's action that directly supports mental health access. Maybe you don't go to protests. That's fine. Participate in downtown initiatives, support small businesses, talk to people, make connections, build a network. Advocacy and activism aren't one size fits all. It's about showing up and letting people know they're not alone. This is political. Let's examine what political really means. Naming harm isn't taking sides in partisan politics, simply refusing to let injustice go unnamed. Consider fundamentals. Who receives healthcare, feels safe at home, and has basic rights? These are human rights, not political opinions. Political discussions are how school funding is allocated, which neighborhoods get infrastructure improvements, whether community spaces are maintained safely. I don't end friendships over which street should get priority of being repaved. However, I will not call someone a friend who violates human rights. When we ignore harm in the name of neutrality, we protect systems causing that harm, not the people experiencing it. Advocacy isn't about pushing a political agenda. It's about standing with clients so they don't carry the burden of injustice alone. Naming harm is essential to healing. It puts humanity first, not political parties. So when therapists ask, do you have any questions for me? Most clients drop blank. But if you want a counselor who advocates for you rather than just listens, I've come up with some targeted questions to ask. How do you consider racism, class, gender, disability, and labor conditions in cases like mine? When something systemic is harming me, what might advocacy look like from you? Do you offer resource links or referrals outside of sessions? How do you handle sliding scale access? Or can we set goals that include both symptom relief and system navigation? Now here are some red flags. I don't bring politics into therapy. I treat everyone the same. Let's stay focused on what you can control. Now, here's my plea to new therapists. Therapists occupy a privileged position of trust. People share their deepest fears, trauma, and struggles. Things they might never reveal to anyone else. Yet too often therapists retreat into neutrality, simply listening and offering guidance without taking a stand. New therapists need to speak out about the systemic problems that harm their clients. They must abandon the facade of neutrality to become true advocates and allies. This transformation requires change at an educational level. Graduate schools and training programs need to stop perpetuating the myth that advocacy is optional. We have no alternative. To genuinely heal and help others, therapists must raise their voices to prevent collective harm. Like Smokey the Bear in the forest, they should protect the vulnerable, warn of dangers, and speak for those who cannot. Therapy isn't merely about individual survival. It's about transforming our world to make survival easier for everyone. If this resonated with you, share your experiences in the comments, press the subscribe button if you want to hear more from me, share with your friends, and if you're a therapist or future therapist, think about what you can do to dismantle these barriers from within. Thanks for watching, take care of yourself and each other, and remember, you can join the resistance in the streets, in temple, or in your own home, or anywhere else you feel most safe. Just don't be neutral.